Turkey. It's one of the world's most powerful countries. It's of course the ninth most powerful country on earth. How did this country come to be the ninth most powerful country? To understand this question and get the answer, we should go to the past. The past is so vast. During those times, an empire called the Hittite Empire was existing in Anatolia, and it was so powerful. It prospered alongside Egypt. It started as a small thing in Anatolia but expanded to the south. But that did not stop the Egyptians to expand. Later over time, the Hittite Empire would reach the peak of its glory and collapse, and its collision would give birth to some other nations. Popular ones are Phrygia and Lydia. Lydia conquered Phrygia and became more successful. Lydia, however, would be conquered by Cyrus the Great of Persia. Cyrus, however, died mysteriously, and later on over life, the Persian Empire was divided into satrapies, like the satrapy of Lydia. In 334 BC, Alexander the Great, the king of Macedon, led a campaign which lasted 7 or 8 years, in which he conquered the whole known world, including the Persian Empire. The Macedonian Empire was at its peak height in 324 BC. Alexander also died mysteriously, like Cyrus. But his empire was divided into 4 big blocks: a Seleucid Empire, a Thracian kingdom led by Lysimachus, a Macedon which was led by Antigonus, namely Achaemenid Macedon, and however it was Ptolemy who took control of Egypt. Most of Asia Minor was being ruled by Lysimachus. However, later on over life, Seleucus, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Antigonus would have so many battles, at the end of which the Diadochi, or the successors, would be conquered by the Roman Empire, or the Roman Republic, for now you can say it yourself. The Roman Republic conquered all of Asia Minor and expanded deeper into Anatolian territory, and they were like, you know what, we will control of the Anatolian position. The Roman Empire shifted its capital to Constantinople, that is modern-day Istanbul. The Roman Empire would have so many glorious days. In 476 AD, Emperor Diocletian divided the empire, but the western portion was lost to 10 barbaric tribes, 7 of which exist to this day, 3 of which are extinct. The eastern portion, however, the Eastern Roman Empire, would last, but then conquered by the Rashidun Caliphate, and then the Umayyad Caliphate, and the Abbasid Caliphate. 3 of them. Abbasid Caliphate ended up in the Mesopotamian quarter and then conquered by the Seljuk Empire. The Seljuk Empire spread most of Islam in Anatolia, and then they were conquered by the Mongols. And then Rum, the Seljuk Sultanate, began to decline, which gave birth to other Beyliks. Beyliks. One of these Beyliks was Osman. Osman word translates to Ottoman, which simply means Ottoman. Thus began the early days of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire first sought to expand into more Byzantine territories and then conquer other territories. In 1453, Constantinople fell, and then became the new capital. Constantinople turned out to be a good capital. Later on, the Ottomans would conquer the Mamluks, and then Suleiman led a campaign in the east, having the positions of the Safavid Empire. Later, the Ottomans would prosper alongside the Safavids. The Safavids would disappear completely, and then the Ottomans and the Safavids, or the superior Safavids, would have so many wars. The Ottomans would continue for so many hundreds of years, hundreds which we cannot even imagine, at the end of which states from the Ottoman Empire began to decline. The Ottoman Empire began to decline. Africa was lost to other French and the British as the Habsburgs did the same from the north. The Ottomans controlled a small portion of Western Asia. However, all things don't last long, and the Ottomans would, however, last long, unlike other empires. The Ottomans, or the Turks, would have so many conflicts with other nations like the Portuguese, the British, and others, etc., etc. During World War I, they were allied with Germany, Austria, Bulgaria, with these three nations, and these four nations formed the Central Powers and lost. The Ottoman Empire was conquered by the British and their French allies. The British and the French divided among themselves what was the former glorious Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire, however, in the mainland also is dominated by the British, the French, the Italians, and the Greeks. The Ottomans do not like this. The Ottomans tried to rebel. They even lost Constantinople. They, however, now, after losing Constantinople, they lifted up their capital to Ankara. The Ottomans later wanted their former land, and then they warred with the other parts. This war was known as the Turkish War of Independence, in which Greece fought decisively and lost to the Ottomans. The Ottomans came out victorious at the Turkish War of Independence ended. The Ottomans, however, were led by Mustafa Kemal. Mustafa Kemal had done so many things to Turkey. He was known as the father of the Turks. He restored every old thing lost to Turkey, and then he was the first president of the Ottomans. However, the Ottomans would later become a new decisive power, unlike their former empire. However, Constantinople was restored and Istanbul was renamed as Constantinople. The Ottomans would later become Turkey, and that's what you have today. Turkey continues to be one of the world's superpowers. World superpower must be a decisive, undefeatable power like Turkey. Turkey, during the Cold War, alongside Greece, was promised safety from the United States and was allowed to join NATO. That's how you have the world's 9th most superpower. Turkey's main and real religion is Islam. Islam has dominated Turkey for hundreds of years. Turkey's famous places are Hagia Sophia, Ephesus, and last of all, Sumela Monastery. And a fun fact, Turkey is responsible for 75% of the world's hazelnuts. And here's the craziest one. It's believed that Santa Claus was born in Turkey, but I don't know anything about that.